Good afternoon, everyone. Just want to do a mic check and a screen share check. Let me know if you can hear me and see my screen, and we'll get
Yes,
started shortly.
we can see your screen and hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. And for those of you that do not have RedCap accounts, I have put the link to request an account in our chat within this meeting. You simply need to go to the CCTS website, become a member. It's a like 2, 3 step process. And then once you've became a member, you can go back to the top and do a request service. And it's going to ask you a ton of questions. Most of them do not apply to you. Only answer the ones that have like a little red asterisk beside it. And we can get you an account set up and then you can log in. If you don't have an account and you don't want to deal with that right now, that is completely fine. You can just watch the screen and follow along with us, or you can log into RedCap and do it on your own. It's completely up to you. We will be having a Q&A at the end, probably the last 15, 20 minutes of this class. Today is just a basic, very basic class about RedCap, how to log in, things like that. If you have any questions at all throughout, please either put them in the chat or you can just speak up. It's completely up to you. If you want to hold your questions till the end, that's fine as well. Um, but we'll go ahead and get started. We still have a lot of people trying to join, but they should be able to catch up pretty easily. For those that don't know, my name is Brent Cedars. I am the Red Cap liaison for the University of Kentucky. So in the future, any questions, concerns, anything like that that you have regarding RedCap, those questions will generally come to me. If for some reason I'm not the person to answer that question for you or help you, I will connect you with somebody who can. So all things is RedCap. If you need my email address or anything like that, you can go to the front page of RedCap. If you hover over this little button here or click it, it will pull up my email address. Anytime you're logging into RedCap, if you need an account with RedCap, you can contact me directly. And I'm basically going to send you exactly what I put in the chat, the CCTS website page. If you have people that are external from UK, meaning that they do not have a Link Blue account, they would need to contact me or you. You can contact me and CC them, however you want to do it, and we would set them up what is called an external learner. Basically, we contact UKITS, get them a Link Blue account set up, and then they can request a RedCap account. Our RedCap system uses Link Blue for security measures. So if you do not have a Link Blue or for some reason your Link Blue account has expired, you can no longer access your RedCap account. Your RedCap login and password will always be your Link Blue. So every 90 days, when your Link Blue password changes, your RedCap account will change as well. Sometimes depending on how your browser is set up, you may need to go in and clear a password for RedCap. It may be caching an old password. So if you try to log in and it kicks you back to the login screen, that's generally what the problem is. It's caching an old password. If you have forgotten your password or you can't remember what it is or anything like that, we have a forgot password um, option on our website. It's basically going to take you to the information that I've been talking about. If you are a UK employee or a student, you cannot figure out what your Link Blue password is. That is something you would have to contact UKITS for. I can't help you with Link Blue passwords. So if you're an external learner, you can contact me because I would have to contact them for you, so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind. Your Link Blue is always your RedCap account. So to log in, again, you simply use your Link Blue ID. It is not your UK ID, which is the 8 or 9 digit number that everyone gets. It's always your username or your ADMC account name. Generally, it's the first part of your email address. So that's something else to keep in mind when you're logging in. Your password again will be exactly as your link blue. Hold on, I see a chat. Do we have to have an active research project? No. You do not have to have an active research project to request a RedCap account. You don't have to have a project that you're going to be working on. If you simply want a RedCap account to look around and poke around and learn it, that's completely fine. We do not monitor why you're using RedCap. Honestly, we just want you to use it because once you use it, you're going to use it in other parts of your job. So you don't have to have a research account or a project that's coming up or anything special like that. If you're a UK employee and you simply want a RedCap account, that's completely fine. There are a lot of questions that require an answer. If you want, you can put NA in there, not applicable. Um, our CCTS service request form obviously goes out to everyone. So a lot of those questions do pertain to um, the research and things like that that people are requesting, but RedCap it does not. Honestly, I simply need your name and Link Blue information. That's all I need. But some of those are required fields. So if you want to put NA or something like that, not none or whatever that will let you pass through, that's completely fine. It's not going to kick it out or anything like that. Now, if you put the wrong Link Blue information in there, it may kick you out. But again, you can always contact me if you have issues. So again, we're going to log into RedCap. A lot of people want to know what RedCap stands for. It simply stands for Research Electronic Data Capture. RedCap was designed to collect data online. A lot of people were using Excel or Access databases to collect information on surveys, things like that. And the folks at Vanderbilt are the ones that created RedCap. They created RedCap about 2006, and the University of Kentucky received it in 2008. So we've had RedCap for quite a long time. I've been working on it pretty much since the beginning. It was designed originally for research projects. There was noted that there was a need for information to be collected online that was HIPAA compliant, that would help people use and collect this data simultaneously. Everyone knows if you're using an Access database, you need to make sure that you're using the most current version. There's really no way to save that information unless you save it on a hard drive or something like that. You can't access it just anywhere. You have to have a copy of that database saved on your computer somewhere or your flash drive. So security and accessibility are a huge thing when it comes to RedCap. There is no program to download. You simply need an internet browser. You can use RedCap on your cell phone, your tablet, whatever you have, whatever device you have that can connect you to the internet, you can use. So again, a RedCap can be used simultaneously. If you have a large research project and you just have 3 or 4 students sitting in a room just hacking away, entering information, they can all do that at the same time. They don't have to wait. They don't have to schedule time to when they're going to work on their project with the other students. They can just keep right on hacking away, entering that data. Meanwhile, data is coming in from the internet. So RedCap is definitely a tool to use if you're collecting data over the internet and things like that. Obviously, RedCap became very popular during COVID simply because people weren't coming into the offices or to the doctor's offices and things like that as much. So a lot of data collection ramped up heavily during COVID, and it showed people that this information could be collected without the hassle of people coming to the office, people making schedules to meet with you, you scheduling with them, downtime, all that sort of thing. It helped alleviate a lot of those problems and issues. So if we'll get right back into RedCap, logging in again, link blue password, username, password, you hit log in. It's going to take you to this page here, the Duo Mobile. If you do not have Duo Mobile on your cell phone or tablet or what have you, you will not be able to log into RedCap. Most of us, most UK employees or what have you, anyone with a link blue should already have this set up, but make sure that your phone or tablet is notifying you. This is going to ask you this every single time you log in. So if I were to log out right now, close out my internet, open it back up, it's going to ask me every single time. So please make sure that your cell phone or what have you is notifying you um, that it's requesting this. A lot of times you can save it on your phone. I think you can do like a 30, 60 day save or something like that. So in this case, all I have to do is click on this. It's already contacted my phone. My phone has already said yes, okay. And now it takes me into RedCap. So just make sure that your cell phone or tablet, whatever device you're using to do your second authentication is notifying you and working. A lot of people outside of UK have problems with this. Um, they see the Duo Mobile pop up and they just think it's spam or whatever, or they just don't have it to notify them. Um, if you get a new cell phone or tablet, you need to redo those permissions as far as notifications and things like that. A lot of times that won't transfer over. So just keep that in mind when you're logging in. If it just kind of hangs there and doesn't do anything, generally it's because it's waiting for you to either get your cell phone out and tap OK or approve or something like that. So everyone's screen when you log in here will be different. You have a lot of tabs across the top here. Um, most of these you all will see this control center. You probably won't see that's just for me. We have a new project tab. The My Projects tab is where you log in. This is a screen of all the projects that you have created yourself within RedCap or you've been added to. So if you are a new person to RedCap, maybe your boss or your PI or someone has requested that you learn RedCap and they already have some projects in existence. They can go into those projects and add you as a user, and they will show up here on your My Projects tab. If the project does not show up on this page, you have not been added correctly. So if your boss or PI comes to you and says, "Hey, I added you to this project, go check it out," and you come in here and you have nothing listed here, or the project title is not listed here, they didn't add you correctly. So they're going to need to do that again. If you or your boss, PR, or whatever are having issues with that, please reach out to me. Generally, it's just as simple. They simply didn't add your username correctly. So keep that in mind. If you do not see it, it's because you are not on the project. Of course, your My Project tab, you can separate it by different colors and sections, things like that. However, whatever is easiest for you to organize your projects and things like that. You have a new project tab. This is where you would create a brand new project. Um, all these different options you have. Research is the only one that's going to open up more questions, and that is needed for our end, the CCTS end. Obviously, the more research projects you use, IRB numbers you use, looks better on our grant. This is why they pay us to keep RedCap going, things like that. So please, if you do have that information, put it in there. If you don't have it when you're creating the project, that's completely fine. You can always come back to this later and fill out that information. Um, you have options down here to use templates. If you're just starting out, you want to kind of play around with RedCap, build a couple test projects, things like that. These templates are awesome. They will create these projects for you. They will add the questions and things like that in there for you so that you can kind of mess around with it and maybe take a survey or two just to see what it looks like on your end versus what it looks like on RedCap's side, things like that. There's a lot of these projects that are difficult to create on the fly. So again, if you're wanting to practice with some of them, I definitely recommend using some of these templates. If you're building a project, a real project that you and your team are going to use, generally, most of the time, you're not going to use one of these templates. You're going to start from scratch and create a brand new blank project. But again, if you've already messed around with these templates before, you have an idea of what REDCap looks like, how it's going to act, things like that. We'll come back to this in just a minute and create like a simple project so that you can see what it looks like. You have a help FAQ section. Throughout REDCap, there are little small question marks beside different options that you can click on that will take you to this page and to this section. This help FAQ is awesome. I use it all the time, and I've been using REDCap for 20 years. It's great. It's everything that you need to know about REDCap. You can type in specific words or phrases that you're having trouble with. Um, Whatever you need. This is a great information base for using REDCap and getting your questions answered. There are training videos. These training videos are from Vanderbilt. So some of them obviously are quite lengthy. That one's 75 minutes long, but that is a full project build, step by step, how to build a project. A lot of these videos have a lot of really good information in them. Some of them are shorter. So if you need, data access groups, how do I build data access groups? Play that video and it'll teach you step by step how to do that. These videos are very good, and I've noticed that they've added even more videos to this, so that's good as well. Um, these videos, again, you can watch these at your leisure. They're always on REDCap, so you don't have to worry about saving them or whatever. As long as you can log into REDCap, you can access these videos. You have a send it feature. This is a basically a glorified email. The difference is this one is HIPAA compliant. It has sometimes our email systems will only allow so much space or size. So if you have an attachment or something like that that you're trying to send to your colleagues, your email might not allow it because it's too large. REDCap has up to 250 meg uh, of space, and this will also let you put an expiration date. So if you are sending HIPAA, um, maybe some PHI in an email or something like that, you don't want that information out there forever. So you may let your colleague know, hey, in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to send you an email with a bunch of social security numbers on them. Please add this to the project or whatever. Save it, whatever you're needing them to do with it, because it will expire in 2 days. So after that 2 days is up, they can no longer access that email or information. So again, this is just a secondary email that you can use um, if you are not wanting to use your personal email address. REDCap has a messenger. If anyone has used Facebook Messenger or anything like that, it's pretty much the same thing. You can contact anyone that is a REDCap user within the system. So obviously, this is REDCap users for the University of Kentucky. That's another thing that I wanted to mention, that REDCap is a global uh, system, but every institution, every facility's REDCap is different. So if you are coming from another university or you are working with another university, there is another REDCap instance in uh, Louisville, Kentucky. They have their own standalone REDCap instance. The state government in Frankfurt has their own REDCap instance. So just because you have a login for University of Kentucky's REDCap does not mean you can take that same login and go log into one of theirs. Completely different systems. Um, so keep that in mind if you're working with people in other facilities. Most most of the universities in the United States have REDCap. They might not have an such an active one as UK. UK's is we used to be 10th in the nation. I think that has changed drastically, but for a long time we were in the top 10 as far as the amount of users that we have. Currently, we have a little over 9,200 users that use REDCap. That is just for the University of Kentucky. So it's quite a lot of the users. So a lot of universities don't have near the amount of users that we have. So again, if you are using someone else's or trying to use someone else's REDCap or collaborating with them or what have you, you will not be able to log into their system unless you go through their login process for setting up a new account. So just keep that in mind. Um, this is only for the University of Kentucky employees. Again, you all won't have a control center that's just for admins. So we're going to go back to our new project. We're going to create a test project so that you all can see what projects look like. We'll do a multiple surveys classic and create project. So when this screen pops up, it looks like there's a whole lot going on. It kind of overwhelms people at first. But to break it down, this whole left side is your dashboard. Just about all programs have some sort of dashboard. This is the REDCap dashboard. Most of this stuff will stay the same. You may have some things that pop open as you toggle buttons, but most of this stays the same. You have different sections uh, of things that happen within your project. Generally, you're going to stay in this section here. This is your project home design, things like that. The design and everything is here. So there's multiple things that are the same throughout REDCap that you'll notice. Your data collection is where you send out your surveys. You look at your current data. You add or edit the current data, things like that. All these applications are extras that you can use within REDCap. Um, a lot of these features you will use, but your main things that you'll be using are these two sections right here. So don't let it overwhelm you. Um, REDCap can be overwhelming. It does do a lot of different features. You can make your projects as simple or as fancy as you want, but just don't let it overwhelm you um, in the beginning because, again, it does look like there's a lot going on. This whole middle section is your project. So every project obviously has a name that you create. Every project also has a PID number, project ID number. This is important because when you contact me and you have a question about a certain thing going on in your project or whatever, there's a problem or an issue, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what is this number? And the reason that I ask you what that number is, I am considered a super admin, so I can see every project that is in the University of Kentucky's database. I ask for this PID number because every project has its own unique number. So what I do is I look at your name, read your question, pull up your project ID. That way I can see your exact project, and that way I can help you to the best of my ability to figure out your problems. A lot of questions may be pretty generic. Hey, I can't figure out how to get my surveys to send. What section do I go to? Obviously, I'm not necessarily going to need the project ID. I can just tell you, oh, you need to go to your data collection. You need to make sure that surveys is enabled on your project, this, that, and the other. So if it's a project specific question, you're having a problem with a particular question, it's not branching correctly, or the calculated field isn't working correctly, whatever. The first thing I'm going to ask you is this project ID. So if you can get it in your head to include that every time you send me an email, it'll move us along a lot faster. So just keep that in mind. That is where the PID, if I ask for a PID or project ID, that's what I'm talking about. This 5-digit number here. And it's always at the top, kind of in the middle of your page. So your project setup page, this is where you will do a lot of your setting up of your project. You're basically going to start at the top and work your way down. If you created a brand new project, blank slate, no template, all of these will be red. You need to go through and toggle what you need, uh, what you're going to use. We chose a multiple surveys classic template, so it is already turned on a lot of the options that we will need. Using surveys in a project, that has to be turned on if you want a survey link. Every survey has a link that if you open, it's going to show you this is what our template project survey looks like. We can go in and add some data, fill it out. It's going to say, okay, test. That's not a saying that because we got an email address, so there's no at sign. Still doesn't like it because you don't have any .com or anything like that. So this is a validation field. We'll talk about that probably in the second class with REDCap. But you can fill all this out. If you fill it out correctly, oops, hit submit. REDCap's going to capture the data. That's what it's supposed to do. If we go over here to our record status dashboard, this is every piece of data that has come into your project. There's our first survey. You can go into it, see what that individual put in, what the time was, date, all that good stuff. Um, so that is how your survey will work. So if we go back to our project setup, we just work our way down. You'll notice a lot of different options within a project. You also notice that there are those little question marks behind each one that I was talking about. If you click on that, it tells you exactly what that option is and what it does. So if you notice, every one of those has a little question mark. So if you're unsure, you're not sure what you want to use, a lot of these things you can turn on. It will change the project a little bit, but not necessarily in a way that you can't use it. So a lot of people have issues with this longitudinal data. Well, I don't know what longitudinal means, but you know what? I do want some events. So they'll turn it on and then they get worried because, oh no, well, I turned that on, and then 6 months down the road, they're not using events or anything like that. And they want to know, well, have I messed up my project? No. Longitudinal events, all that does is open up another section here. If you notice that that section will disappear if we turn it off, that's all it does. It simply opens up the events section. So if you don't put any events in there, REDCap's going to just keep right on working the way it's supposed to. If you do put events in there, it's going to separate your data into events, time categories, points of interest, or whatever. So again, I do recommend that you all go in and do a test project. Click around on these buttons, click on things to see what they do. Fill out some fake data, open up some surveys and fill out some data and send it through and see what it does. Generally, it's very hard to break a REDCap project. Most of the time, the main issues that people have is if they're using a calculated field, they put in the wrong equation. REDCap's going to collect it. If you accidentally put a plus sign instead of a minus sign, REDCap's going to collect it. It might not be the correct data, but it's collecting it. So don't worry about messing up your project. Um, a lot of people want to know if there are any pitfalls or safety concerns or anything like that with RedCap? Generally, no. We do an update on our RedCap once a month. Those include all security fixes, bugs, things like that. RedCap is not going away anytime soon. It's one of the few free uh, programs that UK offers to its employees and students. So my job is 100% RedCap. So RedCap's not going to go away anytime soon. Like if you start a project, you don't have to worry about, is it going to be around long enough for me to keep my project going? Anything like that. Feel free to use it. And again, we don't monitor what you're using RedCap for. So if it's just a simple inner office, you guys are taking a survey on what everyone wants to eat at the next office function. It doesn't matter. We don't care why you're using it. Excuse me, we just want you to use it. So we kind of flew through this pretty quickly. Again, I could sit here and talk to you for days about RedCap and not cover everything. Um, a lot of this stuff is visual. You can go through and click on all of this information, um, try it out on your test projects or what have you. A lot of the things that you see on here are simply visual. That absolutely does nothing. That is just for you or your team to look at so they can scan through and say, oh, okay, well, we're done with the main project settings. So we can go to the next one. Data collection, design instruments, things like that. This is where you design your actual project. We chose a template. So the template already built out looks like 3 surveys and 1 data entry tool. If you were doing a basic blank project, there would only be one here. It would say something like uh, first instrument or my first instrument or what have you. Um, Things like that. One thing I do want to touch on real quickly is when you're using RedCap, a lot of times our surveys or quality assurance surveys, what have you, don't necessarily have unique identifiers. Maybe this is a anonymous type survey that you're sending out to the public. So there are no unique identifiers. RedCap will automatically put in a participant ID. That's simply a sequential number. So to see that, you'll click on your very first instrument. This is our first survey in the project. It's this right here, this participant ID. My suggestion to you is don't change this. Your participants or your people taking the survey will not see this. So if we open up our survey, our first question is date of birth. If we open up our survey again, there's that first line of code. That participant ID is right here, but you don't see it because it's a sequential number that RedCap adds automatically. And that is because a lot of our surveys do not have a unique identifier. So RedCap needs to know how to separate each lines of code, each row, column, everything else. So it will do that with just adding a simple participant ID. This messes with a lot of new people because they're like, "Oh, I don't want that. I don't want to use participant ID, or I want to create my own." That's completely fine, but just create it here. Just add it. So this one will show up on the survey. So your participants would need to already know their record ID. My suggestion is never change this. Don't modify it. Don't rename it. Just don't even touch it. Just pretend it's not even there. I wish that Vandy would just hide this or gray it out so that you can't mess with it. There are some projects where you can turn that off. If you don't want that identifier, the auto numbering of records, if you turn that off, it will open that up to the public, but they must put a number in there every time they fill out a survey. So if your participants don't already know or don't already have a unique identifier, that's immediately going to confuse them. And they may put in the wrong number. My number might be 20, and John's number is 23, and I accidentally put in 23. So all that data coming in looks like it's for John. So keep that sort of thing in mind. If you don't need the unique identifier, just keep the auto numbering on. Generally, this is always on. Anytime you create a new project, that will be turned on. And that is because a lot of our projects don't have unique identifiers. Even if you do have a unique identifier, a lot of our projects will have a medical ID number, maybe social security number, a driver's license number, whatever. You can still leave that on there and keep that as their sequential number. The data will still be in there. You can still search by that unique identifier. So again, it depends on what your project is, how it's going to work, how you want it to look. But my suggestion is do not modify that. If you modify this later on down the road, you can corrupt all the data in your database if you mess with this. So that's why I normally say just pretend it's not even there. Just start below it and start filling out your questions, putting in what you need, how you want it to answer, all that sort of thing, because your participants will never see it anyway. So again, I know we've flown through this pretty quickly. The next class we will be doing will be I basically will create uh, a project for you. Let you watch me create a project. We'll do some test data similar to what we did today, but just more in depth. We'll go over the different um, all the different field types, what all these boxes are, what everything does, all that sort of thing. Today's class was mainly navigation, how to navigate within REDCap, what REDCap looks like, because a lot of you all have never logged into REDCap before. I did a whole bunch of brand new accounts yesterday and the day before. So this class was just to prepare you um, for what REDCap's going to look like, how to navigate through it, things like that. And again, just not to be overwhelmed by everything on the screen. Because I know the first time I logged in, I was like, oh my goodness, look at all this stuff. There's a lot of buttons to be pushing. So, do you all have any questions or concerns? It doesn't have to necessarily be about what we learned today. It could be any general question that you have about REDCap. Maybe you've heard something in the past and want to verify it or what have you. Man, you guys were easy. No questions at all. Um, we still have 20 minutes, so we'll go over some of these things on this dashboard. Again, the distribution. Will we be learning how to transfer data from REDCap to Excel or SAS? Uh, n- we do. We touch on that a little bit in the advanced class, but generally it's just to show you where that information is. So quickly, if you want to import or export data from REDCap or to REDCap, that is here. Data exports, reports, and stats. You would do export data, all data. These are all the different statistical packages that you can download your data into. One thing to remember is when you download data, export data to another program, it is only a screenshot of your data. The data never really leaves your REDCap project. So if you're needing to create a quick report to show your boss or what have you, put it on a board in front of the class kind of thing, you can download the data that morning, present it to the class, and by the time you're done, you may have new data that has already came in. So the data never leaves REDCap. All you're doing is basically taking a picture of the data and dropping it into one of these packages. Each one of these, so for instance, you mentioned SPSS. When you click on that, it's going to give you formatting options. These options you need to follow to the letter um, on how to do that. And then once you, obviously, you have de-identified options. Once you do export, I don't have SAS on my computer. You need to follow these directions to the letter. With SPSS, you got to download, I think, all three of these. Obviously, you need to have SPSS on your computer. Um, so keep all that in mind. All this must be followed to the letter, or it won't download correctly to your SPSS. Each one of these will be different. They may have different options. Some of them may not have any options at all, but generally they'll give you a box of things that you need to do before you export the data. Let's see. How does RedCap compare to Qualtrics? Um, Qualtrics, RedCap was designed for research projects. So that being said, a lot of the options, things like that, features are designed for research projects. Um, I've only used Qualtrics a few times. I know that Qualtrics used to have a much more robust survey creating function, I guess you would call it. RedCap surveys are fairly basic. You can you can change the colors and fonts and all that sort of thing with your RedCap projects, but I don't think they're as nice and fancy as Qualtrics would be. So you can change the layout, design of your project, of your surveys and things like that. Um, but I haven't used Qualtrics in a few years, so I don't know of the new features that it has. I do know that a lot of statisticians prefer RedCap simply because of that ease of exporting the data into those different statistical packages. I don't know if RedCap or if Qualtrics does that now or not. I know a couple years ago it didn't export data as easily as RedCap. So a lot of our statisticians were wanting people to use RedCap more so than Qualtrics. Um, both programs, RedCap and Qualtrics, are HIPAA compliant. So if you're using PHI or anything like that, please use one of those two. Um, RedCap data is stored on campus. I believe Qualtrics is to an extent. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But RedCap's data is stored on campus. So please don't use SurveyMonkey or something like that if you're collecting PHI. We have no idea where that data goes. We have no idea where it's stored. That is a third party uh, program. So they may tell you all day long that it's HIPAA compliant, but we don't know where the data goes. RedCap, we know exactly where the data goes. We can point out where the servers are. So if you are using PHI, collecting PHI, any type of sensitive information, please use either RedCap or Qualtrics. Again, if you all have any questions, just blurt them out or type them in the chat because I'll just keep yammering for another 5 or 10 minutes. Again, all these different options. Anytime we have a major RedCap update and some new features will appear, a lot of times it will appear in the messenger. You'll get a little messenger notification. I believe it's something like um, system notifications or something like that. They will give you a brief update of what the new feature or what have you is, things like that. Generally, those features will show up here under the applications. Those different options will appear here. And again, uh, we don't monitor how many projects you have. So if you've got 20 test projects out there that you're testing every one of these features, that is completely fine. That is no big deal at all. You can delete those projects at any time, but if you want to keep them for future use, if you look at mine, most of these are just test ones. I use them for classes or helping with, other users, things like that. So it doesn't matter how many projects you have. How do we sign up for more trainings? On the CCTS website, you should be able to find a RedCap section that will have, I think they have an events calendar and things like that will show up on there as well. It's ccts.uky.edu. Do we need to submit a service request to have an account at all, or can we become a member without having a service request? Yes, you can become a member of CCTS anytime you want to. You just need to do the service request to get a RedCap account. If for some reason you already have a RedCap account and you just want to become a member, yes, that's completely fine. Yes, yes, because you do not have a RedCap account. Just because someone adds you to their project, you must have a RedCap account first. Also, if you maybe had a RedCap account years ago, you do not have to request another account. All you need, most likely your account is suspended. RedCap will automatically suspend your account after 1 year of non-use. All you have to do is contact me, say, "Hey, Brent, my account's suspended." I'm going to go in, click one button, and your account is restored. That's all it is. Um, so yeah, if you had an account in the past, you still have an account. It's just suspended. Just let me know. And you don't have to request a new account or any of that stuff. Also, when you request an account, your account does not become active until you log into it the first time. So we've had people in the past request an account because their PI said, "Hey, I added you to a project," and they never logged into the account. So RedCap doesn't verify that you are a real person until you log in the first time. So that's something else to think about. Uh, yes, yes. Yes, for a RedCap account, you must do a request service. So, regardless if you're creating the account or someone's adding you to the account, what have you, you have to request it. Oh, if you need to change your profile once you log in, you have a profile button up here, the far left, right. Um, if you need to add a phone number or something like that, um, a secondary, tertiary email you may set up for testing purposes or um, what have you. You want your surveys or whatever to be sent somewhere else, notifications that you receive surveys sent somewhere else other than your main account. If your team has a office account, like ours is RedCap at uky.edu, if you email that account, there's about 4 or 5 of us that see that email. If you have something like that, you can add that to your options so that the entire team gets notified when a new survey comes in or something like that. Um, Frequency of email notifications, all that sort of thing it can be controlled here under your profile. I believe, let's see. We also have, I forgot to mention, so if you do have a research project, a lot of times you need to cite the grant number. This is our current grant number for the CCTS. We do ask that you put that in your citation. Again, this helps us with funding and things like that. So please include that with any research information that you're submitting. Um, that is always on RedCap. So as soon as you log in, it's there. This is where you to become a member that I had mentioned earlier. So if you want to send this to your other team members, somebody that you're wanting to add to your project, click on that, send them the website. There's the become member, there's request service, news and events. That'll be where the training will be. They probably don't have the newest one on there yet. They may. The newest one will be next month. So let's see. It's always on a Tuesday at 12. So yeah, there's the next one, March the 17th. And then the third one will be in April, which is on the 21st.
And
So
I
if you need
just
to go,
stuck the link in the chat for this for the next one in March.
awesome. Thank you, April.
You're welcome.
So we've got example of an e-consent that you can use, look at, mess around with. We will talk about the e-consent more on the third uh, class, I believe. We'll go in depth a little more about e-consent because again, since COVID, this has been a huge push to use e-consent. And then you got your mobile app information for MyCap users. This is if you want text messages, things to be sent to your participants, all that sort of thing. So again, there's plenty of information to go over. One thing I do want to mention is MyCap is completely different than, let me show you as soon as I can find it here, the RedCap mobile app. The RedCap mobile app is to be used if your participants or you're trying to collect data in an area that has absolutely no service. There's no service, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no internet, nothing. So if you were in a cave somewhere and you're interviewing a caveman and you want to collect his data, this is when you would use RedCap Mobile. If you're sitting at campus and you got people coming into your office, you do not use RedCap Mobile app. It's only for offline collecting of data. Basically, you would collect the data on your tablet or laptop, phone, whatever. And then when you get to a service area and you have service again, you would sync that information to your RedCap project. If you already have service, if you already have Wi-Fi, there's absolutely no need to use the mobile app. I mean, you can use it if you want to, but it's about 20 different steps that you don't need to take. So I have a lot of people ask me about that, and they think it's just, oh, well, RedCap Mobile means I use it on my phone. That's true, but only when you don't have service. If you want to use RedCap and use cell phone, or I'm sorry, text messaging to use to collect data and things like you would use MyCap. And that is the link that I posted. MyCap will use text messaging and things like that, data rates, all that good stuff to collect data with RedCap. So just keep that in mind. We have a lot of people try to use the mobile app and they simply don't need to because they think, well, I want to collect data on my cell phone. You can collect data on your cell phone without using the mobile app or without using MyCap. If you just want to pull up a survey on your cell phone, you can do that. This survey will pull up on a cell phone just like it does on a tablet or laptop. So, any more questions, thoughts, concerns? If you all do, I do recommend that you join us on the next class. Again, the next class will be more in depth on how to create a survey, how to navigate through the survey, how to collect the data. Each one of those field types we'll go over so that you understand which to use, when to use. We'll touch on branching logic a little bit, a skip feature. And then the third one will be about e-consents. We'll talk about calculated fields, and we'll discuss briefly the exporting and importing of data, because those are probably the importing data is probably the hardest thing that you will do within RedCap. So we'll touch on that a little bit as well. And again, if you all ever have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Send me an email. That way I have a record of what the conversation was about, and we'll go from there. And again, I thank you all for joining us, and hopefully we see you all at the next class.